Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, as I said in my blog of the Swan Princess Kingdom of Music, after receiving an email from Eden Young, I became the very first featured fan on the Swan Princess website. Not only that, but before I went on my European vacation, I received an invitation to the 25th anniversary pink carpet event in Los Angeles. And I gotta say, that event last month was a really magical experience for me and my sister. Not only did I meet Eden in person, but I also got to see Anna Graithman, who sang her Season of Love song from the Christmas movie. Also, on the way to the ArcLight Cinema, I got to meet Nathan Higa, who made a very special project for Hawaiian Airlines. And he's my #1 fan, by the way. Oh, that reminds me. Nathan, if you're watching this video, I want to say congratulations on becoming this month's featured fan on the Swan Princess website. Also, after the screening, I got to meet producer Selden Young and director Richard Rich. Plus, the part where they paid tribute to the late Michelle Nicastro really put me in tears. Anyway, on my way home, I thought to myself, I think Eden, Selden, and Rick wouldn't mind if I blogged the movie where the magic began. And that's just exactly what I'm going to do for this episode. Released on November 18th, 1994, the movie is The Swan Princess. So, let's get started. Prince Derek and Princess Odette are forced by their widowed parents to spend every summer together in hopes that they will eventually fall in love and marry, so that their two kingdoms will become united. As they grow up, Derek and Odette can't stand each other, but when they become young adults, they begin to see each other in a different light and fall in love with each other. But one night, things take a bad turn when Derek unintentionally offends Odette, who then refuses to marry him if he can't prove that he loves her for who she is and not just for her beauty. Odette and her father, King William, are then attacked by Lord Rothbart, a vengeful sorcerer who was cast out of William's kingdom when he plotted against the king. In the form of a great animal, Rothbart kills William, kidnaps Odette, and turns her into a beautiful swan. Now it is up to Derek to rescue Odette by showing his undying love. So, what do I think of the movie? Well, ever since I rented this movie from Netflix back in 2004, I immediately fell in love with it. And after seeing the movie at the pink carpet event, I love it even more. But to further explain why I enjoyed this movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, as we all know, the movie is based on the ballet Swan Lake, composed by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, the same guy who did the music for the Nutcracker. However, in this movie, none of Tchaikovsky's music is used here, unlike in the Swan Lake anime film from 1981, or the Barbie version from 2003. Anyway, having previously directed The Fox and the Hound and The Black Cauldron at Walt Disney Animation Studios, Richard Rich was slated to co-direct Oliver and Company until he was fired by Disney feature animation president Peter Schneider. Following his departure from Disney, he subsequently formed his own studio, Rich Animation Studios, with about 26 employees, in which most of his key employees came from Disney, including the company's marketing chief, Matt Mazer. Subsequently, Jared F. Brown from Living Scriptures Incorporated tapped Rich into producing half-hour animated videos based on the audio cassette readings of the Book of Mormon. Inspired by the success of Don Bluth's animated films, as well as Disney's early 1990s animated films, Rich decided to adapt the German folktale version of Swan Lake. During production, the script went through 12 drafts over the course of 2 years. Rich would later attempt to sell his script to several Hollywood studios to no success. Later, Brown struck on the deal on merging Rich Animation Studios, Family Entertainment Network, and Cassette Duplicators Incorporated, a cassette duplicating operation in West Valley City, Utah, into one production holding company called Nest Entertainment. The movie was created by hand painting cells, a tedious technique which caused Rich and his crew to take over 4 years to produce the final product. Most of the cell painting was done at Hanho Huang Up in Salo, South Korea. Overall, 275 animators and artists worked throughout the film's production. When the film was released, it was distributed by New Line Cinema and is currently owned by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment via Sony Wonder. Sadly, after the film was released, it didn't do so well due to it becoming a financial disappointment at the box office. Yes, back then, the film did get mixed reviews at the time, but I think mainly the bomb was caused by a struggling competition with Disney's The Lion King. But to this very day, the Swan Princess has gained a strong cult following, with it being followed by 8 direct-to-video sequels, with a 10th movie coming out in 2020. Also to note, one of the critics who loved the movie was the late Roger Ebert, who gave The Swan Princess 3 out of 4 stars. Yes! God bless that guy. Anyway, years ago, before I rented this movie from Netflix, I was introduced to The Swan Princess by watching a promo trailer on the In Search of Dr. Seuss VHS. And after finally watching the movie in 2004, I thought the movie was really enchanting, and there were some funny parts here and there. Plus, I thought the animation is very reminiscent to Disney animation during the early 80s. I mean, Rich used to work for Disney, so it's not surprising. Now let's talk about the songs in the movie, and they are composed by David Zippel, who did the lyrics for songs in Disney's Hercules, Mulan, and the Star-Spangled Man from Captain America: The First Avenger. Anyway, our first song is This Is My Idea, which is sung during the segment where Odette and Derek are forced to spend time together every summer, from childhood until they're grown up. In my opinion, like the other songs in this movie, it feels very reminiscent of a Broadway musical. Plus, during the song, we get a few hilarious moments, from treehouse fights, playing cards, etc. Plus, the servants and the peasants sing about how Derek and Odette's binding will bring them a joyous and prosperous future. But during the end of the song, it goes from comical to show-stopping to a romantic slow waltz. Next we have Practice, 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 which is sung while Derek, with help from Lord Rogers and Bromley, go through a series of archery tests using special arrows with colored powder while attacking the royal musicians, who are forced to dress up as animals. Now, in my opinion, this is a really comedic song, which shows off things like jokes, gags, and slapstick. And while it is kind of pointless, it's really hilarious, especially with Hans, who's dressed up as a 5-point duck, getting hit too many times, or when Bromley tries to shoot Wesley, who dresses up as a 100-point white rabbit. Next we come to one of the most beautiful love songs outside of a Disney film, Far Longer Than Forever. What I love about this song are the singing voices, the camera angles, the cross dissolves, and the beautiful visuals. Also to note, this song was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song. Plus, after watching Liz Callaway sing this song at the pink carpet with David Burnham, who was in Richard Rich's The King and I, this song really made me shed a tear. Also, ever since I was little, I've known about the original version, which was called Forever in My Heart, which I think is equally as beautiful. Next we come to the next fun song in the film, No Fear, which is sung while Odette and her animal friends try to get a map out of Rothbart's castle. What I love about this song are the catchy melody, the adventurous lyrics, and the clever gags and slapstick throughout the song sequence. Also, the part where the animals try to keep the map away from Rothbart's henchwoman Bridget makes me think of the work song from Cinderella, but more fast-paced and fun, especially when they reference several sports. Next we come to the villain song, No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is sung after Rothbart finds out that Derek has found Odette, and he decides to disguise Bridget as Odette and use Derek's vow of everlasting love to kill the real Odette. As for the song itself, I think it's really jazzy, and it's got a good swing to it. Plus, there's one part where Rothbart does one-handed push-ups, which is a reference to Jack Palance when he received an Oscar back in 1992. And finally, we have Princesses on Parade, sung by Chamberlain. Now, this is my favorite song in the whole movie, and I think it's reminiscent to the big-budget Busby Berkeley musicals of the 1940s, along with some modern Broadway thrown around. Plus, I think it's a very unforgettable song that'll never leave my head no matter how hard I try. Anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, animation, and songs, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Our main character, Princess Odette, is voiced by the late Michelle Nicastro, who has been in TV shows like Beverly Hills 90210 and Xena Warrior Princess, before she was killed from breast and brain cancer 9 years ago. Also, during the pink carpet event, I was surprised that Michelle's husband, Steve Stark, her daughters Callie and Katie, her sister Kristen, and her niece Gracie were at the pink carpet to witness Michelle's tribute. As for Odette herself, in my opinion, I think she's smart, cunning, and wants someone to love her, not just for her beauty. Which makes me wish that Odette was a Disney princess. Also, I think Odette does make for a beautiful swan. Prince Derek is voiced by Howard McGillen, who has sung in the notorious foul-mouthed and dirty South Park movie, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Ugh. But he's best known as the longest-running Phantom in Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera. Wowie zowie. Now that's talent, folks. Anyway, in my opinion, like in the following movies, Derek is a brave character, and he's a skilled archer and hunter. And I like that Derek never gives up when it comes to saving Odette from her swan curse. Next we come to our first animal sidekick, Jean-Bob, a French-speaking frog voiced by former Monty Pythonite John Cleese. In my eyes, Jean-Bob can be sarcastic and full of himself at times, but he's a very loyal character. Plus, I think he's funny when he tries to get Odette to kiss him. Also, some of my favorite scenes that Jean-Bob is involved with is when he tries to get flowers from across an alligator-infested moat using cattails, and the part where he looks for a hole that leads into the dungeon in order to save Odette. Plus, I like the part where he goes, "To the rescue, mademoiselle!" Next we have Lorenzo Trudgealong, aka Speed, a turtle voiced by comedian Stephen Wright, who has been in Babe Pig in the City, along with Son of the Mask and the Emoji Movie. I don't care what any of you guys say. I think these two films are hilarious. Anyway, to me, Speed is wise, but lazy at most times due to his slow nature, and while he is slow on land, he is a fast swimmer. Plus, Speed has a bit of sarcastic and witty streak to him, particularly towards Jean-Bob. Our third animal sidekick is Puffin, voiced by Steve Vinovich, who received a Swansker Award during the Pink Carpet event. In the movie, Puffin becomes a friend and ally to Odette after she gets an arrow out of his left wing and bundles it up. To me, Puffin is the craziest and the most devoted out of all the characters. Plus, he is strict in military arts, he hates spies, and he does not like Jean-Bob's lack of enthusiasm, and he does not want to feel helpless when Odette is in trouble. Next we have Derek's mother, Queen Uberta, voiced by funny girl Sandy Duncan, whom I've talked about in my blogs of Richard Rich's The Fox and the Hound and Don Bluth's Rockadoodle. In the movie, Uberta, along with Odette's father, King William, made an agreement to unify their kingdoms by marriage between their children. However, throughout the movie, after King William's murder, Uberta tries to get Derek to move on from Odette by arranging a ball for him. Anyway, in my opinion, Uberta can be, well, pretty humorous at times, but that one scene where Uberta does that lip thing makes me facepalm myself. Oy, mothers. Next we come to Derek's best friend, Bromley, voiced by Joel McKinnon Miller. Brom is the most funniest and devoted character in the movie, and besides Jean-Bob, he's a person who mostly gets into trouble. He's also the one who gets pestered by Rogers a lot, like during the Catchin' Fire scene, which did come in handy while Derek was fighting Rothbard in his great animal form. Another character I want to talk about is Lord Rogers, voiced by Mark Herlick. Rogers is Derek's trusted, sarcastic counselor and a very talented musician. During the movie, Rogers trains Derek in several archery tests, including the catch and fire technique. Plus, Rogers has a little rivalry with Bromley. Also, I like the part where Rogers says, "You should write a book, How to Offend Women in 5 Syllables or Less." And finally, our villain, Lord Rothbart, is voiced by the late Jack Palance, who I mostly know from Tim Burton's Batman. In the movie, Rothbart plans to take over King William's kingdom. So, years after his banishment, he kills King William in his great animal form, kidnaps Odette, and puts her under a spell where she turns into a swan by day and back into a human at night under the moon's reflection in the lake. So, with the power of the forbidden arts, does he take over the kingdom? Nope. Instead, he decides to take the kingdom legally by trying to marry Odette. But thank goodness that doesn't go very well after countless attempts. In my eyes, like in the Christmas movie, I think Rothbart is an underrated villain due to him being cold, clever, having a great sense of humor, and his mustache makes him look very intimidating. Plus, I think his great animal form is very frightening. And I don't know if I said this 2 years ago, but I think the design of the great animal is very clever, with the wings of a bat, the tail of a lizard, the claws of an eagle, and the head of either a bear or a wolf. Also, that scary smile that he makes during his battle with Derek makes him look like Carface from All Dogs Go to Heaven. Also, in my eyes, the part where Rothbart makes Bridget look like Odette is really devious. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, The Swan Princess is an underrated animated movie, and I think it's really come a long way over the past 25 years, from a box office bomb to a beloved animated movie and franchise. The characters are all terrific, the songs are unforgettable, the music is classic, and the animation is absolutely wonderful. And after seeing this movie on the big screen during the pink carpet event, really made me love this movie more than the time when I rented it from Netflix. It truly is a great movie, with wonderful voice acting, great music, great animation, and an enchanting story. And I hope someday to own this movie on Blu-ray to remember that magical pink carpet event. And I'd like to thank Eden Young for inviting me and for sending me this coin and for this watch. And so, I give The Swan Princess a full 100% rating. And I'll be looking forward to the upcoming 10th movie in 2020. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again for my next vlog. Mustang Power.